Dennis Slicha from 47 Burbage. Just want to reiterate my position on that 500 feet. I feel the 500 feet should be from the property line, not the residential property. I think that does not do anything to protect future development, property that might be slated for future development. And the 500 feet from the property line would help immensely. After all, you're taking 1,000 feet out of it, where there was 1,000 feet setback. You're taking that out. So, I mean, you're giving them a lot of leeway here by taking 500 feet from the residential property. Now, you say, well, that's too stringent, 500 feet, they wouldn't be able to put it anywhere. Well, again, that's why you have variances. That's why you have meetings. That's why you have zoning hearing presented. And that at least gives the property owner a little bit of a chance to fight, or come to some agreement where the tower should be put. I don't think, in some cases, the 150% of the height probably is sufficient, but in some cases it's not. If it's strategically located where it's going to really overpower the next door property or negatively impact it severely, it gives that property owner no chance to fight it. That's what I think. I mean, that's the reason why you have variances. Am I not right?
Yes, that is a question?
Yeah. I mean, isn't that why you consider variances and stuff like that?
The variances are normally for set standards and criteria that are established for each of the zones.
Exactly.
Conditional use, that's kind of ludicrous to have variances to conditional use items.
Yeah, but variance, if you can use the variance, you use the variance against 500 feet.
That's not what they're for, though. They're for, when you have zoning or all the different zones and you have specific setbacks like that are listed, that's more appropriate than conditions under conditional use here.
Essentially, the Pennsylvania courts don't allow exclusionary zoning, and they don't permit you to completely ban something and then save the ordinance by saying they can get a variance. So the variance doesn't save the prohibition. And the concern with the larger setbacks is that it's a prohibition.
So you said 500 feet from the property line is restricting?
Well, the board had to balance the policy considerations of the residents, and at this point, under the current version of the amendment, they think 500 feet from an actual occupied structure is fair, rather than 500 feet from any line.
Who feels that's fair?
Well, that's the ordinance that they're considering right now.
And who
We know that you don't.
Huh?
We know that you don't.
Well, I just don't feel that it,
Oh, yeah, we do understand that. We understand.
okay, so I mean, that's what I want to get on record, and because down the road, it may come up to be an issue.
But you are, some of you're on the record.
Because I oppose 500 feet from the dwelling.
Okay,
500 feet from the property line is more appropriate.
all right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Me being new to this, this residential, commercial, industrial, they all have to be in agreement. I mean, say if somebody wants to do commercial and put buildings, is there any way we could have a less of a setback?
Sure.
higher than what there is residential.
That's something that would be an amendment to this ordinance, and we've had a lot of requests from people who own commercial property to say, hey, you should probably have a different standard for residential or commercial and industrial, which we can consider.
Yeah, I would like to, discuss that, maybe make a motion where commercial would have less of a setback.
It's not appropriate for a motion, it's an amendment to this ordinance.
So once we have discussed that.
Yeah, I mean, then we can look at all the other zones too. This is primarily addressing residential uses right now, just in primary. We can bring it up now at our business meeting, say, let's advertise, let's look into that, other municipalities, what they have for other zones. Does anybody else have any comments or questions? Then you helped us with the loading report 13.
Yep, part 13 is the off-street parking, and essentially, we've had several developments that have had different type of requirements, and the concern has been for townhouse developments having the appropriate parking ratio to account for visitors, and then also for apartments, which we've got a couple apartment developments to include the same. So the change, I believe, here, Bruce, it's a little bit further, isn't it? I'm sorry, you're up there just a little more. So now we've added under a dwelling unit, multifamily. This is for an apartment development. You can see studios are 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit, 1 bedroom, 1.5. 2 bedroom units, that's at 2 spaces. And then we've added plus an additional 0.24 visitor spaces per unit. And that's based upon a couple apartment developments we've had. We feel that that's the proper ratio. And the same goes for townhouse or garden apartments. They're classified in the same way. That we have 2 spaces plus 0.66 for visitor spaces, so we get a total of 2.66. I know that's an odd number, but it
Works out when you have multiple buildings.
works out when you have multiple buildings, that's correct.
The other thing is, keep in mind that the last few developers have cooperated with us voluntarily whenever we asked them to add more off-site parking, like in Maple Ridge and any of the development. It was always hoping they would cooperate, so this will help give them a little bit more teeth to make sure that. And then also the one item in there was for loading requirements.
Yeah, loading requirements, there's been a provision in the ordinance for a long time that loading requirements are required. And I believe that we changed, the only thing that we changed is on this where deemed necessary by the township, just added that additional part in the front so we wouldn't have to give them a modification on each one. So if you're having an industrial building like the electric facility that was put in over on Georgetown Road, that had typically, they had loading docks, typical loading docks you would expect. But if you have a building in South Point that's maybe just going to be an office building that only needs a FedEx drop-off, they have different requirements. So it just gives us a little more leeway and wouldn't require that modification each time.
And then about the 300-foot property, exterior property limits, it's a requirement that the applicant has to supply or do that process rather than depending on the township to do it for them.
Right, we'd be amending section 403B3, which currently requires them to give the township the name and address of people within 300 feet. And for future reference, they'll need to provide certified copies of their intent that they mail notice of their intent to seek conditional use approval to the nearby residents.
So what about chapter 13, part 3, proposed change?
1303 is the mailbox, which is the ratio, parking ratio.
Yes.
So what did you say?
Bruce, is this yours?
Yes, it is. What we're doing here is we're creating requirements for centralized mailboxes, which are in new developments now are required by the United States Postal Service. What we're trying to do is trying to make a little bit uniformity as to where they're located and how they're being maintained. And then also the requirement for off-street parking for these group mailboxes as well.
Section 620.
It's actually a new section 620.0.
Any questions on that or comments? Go ahead.
Back to Chris, 403B, identifying or notifying the property owners within 300 feet. Where was that limit at? Or is that a part of the change, or is it the requirement that we have signed certification or documentation that they send it out? Is it always at 300 feet?
It was always, it used to be that they would have to give us notice of property owners within 300 feet, and then Township would send out notice, but we're changing that to make the applicant prove that they sent out enough notice by attaching the certified mail receipts with their application.
The 300 feet didn't change.
300 feet is
The
the
certification.
That's actually my code, by state law. Great. Any comments from the board, questions? All right. For the comments, we'll declare this hearing
We
closed.
have one, oh, sorry, Tom. We have one more. We did the DAS.
Oh, that's a biggie. That's all you, Chris.
So, we've had several hearings, April 5th and today, regarding the regulation of distributed antenna systems and data collection units within the township. And what we have done is permitted them as a use by right in essentially every zoning district, or that's what this draft provides for, with the exception of, what was it, parks, because everything's conditional use there, so we kept it under the same regulations. And then we have set forth standards in a new section 1217 regulating the placement of these DAS and DCU systems within the right-of-way. And there's two types. There's tower-based DAS, where it would have its own tower, and there would be non-tower based, which are mounted on utility poles.
Or sometimes they're freestanding, they do their own.
Those are good, yeah, tower based. But they will be in public right of way for the location.
Are you calling that tower-based if they're all just a freestanding their own single?
That's what I mean by tower based. If the DAS has its own structure.
As opposed to a utility pole. Right.
Even though I think.
Anything else?
No.
All right, we'll declare this hearing closed, and then we can take a break. We'll start again at 7.